And good evening, folks, and welcome out to a very special episode of the Pelican Sports Report. It's one that we like to call the Dash for Frasch. If you're thinking, how in the world did you come up with that nonsense? Well, they're simply playing at Frasch Park down in Sulphur. So my slow-witted mind, that's what we came up with. I am Doug Gann with 446 Sports and delighted to be here with you. More delighted, though, to be here with our panel that we've got, and it's made up of Mike McMillan. He is with the brand new Northshore Report, Northshore Prep Report. Got to get that correct on there. Mike, welcome.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate you having me.
Also joined by Mike Coppage. And if you read any article that has anything intelligent in it, it's probably come from Mike. And he does such a great job reporting on all sports all around, but does a wonderful job with softball, baseball, football, everything. Mike, welcome aboard.
Oh, well, I appreciate it, and thanks for the kind words. It's a pleasure to join you guys tonight. I'm looking forward to hearing from some of these coaches.
Look, we've got a great crew that is here. The coaches will start rolling in about 7:20 on the broadcast. But what we invite you to do also, if you're watching along with us, is whether you're on YouTube or X or on Facebook, go ahead and jump in and leave a comment on there. If you've got a question for one of the coaches, one of the panel, whatever you have, just type in your comment. It'll pop up there and we'll be able to answer that. First thing we want to do is go around the panel, and we're going to start with Mike Coppage. Mike, tell us a little bit about what you do and where folks can find you.
Well, thanks. I'm a freelance writer, and that's pretty much all I do. I freelance for High School on SI, which is under the Sports Illustrated umbrella, and then I also work for the Acadiana Advocate in Lafayette and the Daily Iberian out of New Iberia, and whoever else will hire me to write a story.
Look, I certainly know that it's going to be coming on the Pelican Sports Report. We're going to talk about that soon, too, because we'd love to have you as a contributor on that as we launch that new website dedicated solely to baseball and softball in Louisiana. It's 365 days a year, so that's just around the corner. Keep an eye out for that. But anybody that has not read an article, go by and check that out because, I don't see how you keep up with all of it.
Well, I make definitely my share of mistakes, and the information overload can be a little much. I don't even attempt to keep up with college or pro sports.
No, I don't think you can. So tell us, I've seen a new social media account, I guess, Clean's Corner.
Yeah, there was a period of time where things weren't happening with High School on SI, which it used to be called SB Live Louisiana, and I made a Facebook page called 337 Sports at first, and then I noticed a friendly colleague had made a made a page called 337 Preps, so I changed it to Clean's Corner. My nickname is Mr. Clean, and so the page I haven't dedicated a lot of time to the page because things picked back up with the High School on SI site, but that's where that page came about.
Well, very good. We're looking forward to it. All the way up in the corner to Mike McMillan of the Northshore Prep Report. What gives with that? That's new.
Yeah, so we're excited about it, Doug. We started this almost exactly 60 days ago. So 61 days ago, we launched Northshore Prep Report. It was as simple as, I personally wanted to follow our players and our schools and find out who was doing what and how they were doing. And I got so frustrated with looking for the information, I decided to just do it ourselves. So it's good. We're currently on Facebook at Northshore Prep Report. We're also on Twitter at Northshore Prep R. To speak a little bit on Mike's behalf, I've been in the sports world a while from a fan aspect in college football recruiting and high school sports. And Mike's done a phenomenal job. He follows the state really well. Probably more than anybody I know from the top of the state to the bottom. So kudos to you. One of the things that I thought was going to be a challenge on the North Shore was getting the information and reaching out to schools and coaches and families. It's been an absolute pleasure. So we've been filled with nothing but gratitude for covering the local players. We look to continue that. Once baseball and softball is coming to an end, We'll be starting spring football reports here soon with area coaches, and then in the summertime we've got some exciting news that'll come for football season as well. So we're excited about getting this region, kind of on the map and covered, comparable to some other areas in the state.
Well, there you go. Now everybody knows a little bit about all of it. Those that are tuning in from the different areas too. We're 446 Sports here in the central Louisiana area, but have made it a point now we're moving statewide, and you'll see more coverage throughout more of the state, and involving these two gentlemen and a host of others, so that we can bring you that information that is missing. But if you've got a comment or a question, make sure that you leave it. Just type it in, and we'll get an answer to it pretty quickly. Enough about us. They're not here to listen to the three of us. They're here to listen to these coaches who will be along in just a little bit, and they're here to find out our thoughts and who's going to win all of these things. I know they've got to play them, but a couple of questions that I talked to you guys about that we wanted to discuss was, who's your lock? Who, if you had to sit back and say, just go ahead and give them the trophy right now, that team is going to be that. As you see the Dash for Frasch logo that pops up right there. And because you are the newcomer in this, Mike McMillan, Northshore Prep Report, we're going with you. Who is your lock to win their bracket?
I'm going to walk the plank here and step on a ledge, but Laranja High School in Division II Select has been absolutely phenomenal all season. The style of play that they have, that they're pitching on top of the depth of their lineup and ability to hit gap to gap and hit for extra base hits and drive in runs has been exceptional. It's a very challenging bracket. Obviously, Vanderbilt Catholic, Edie White, Buckeye, Archbishop Hannon from our area is in that as well. But I love what Laranja does. They're 22-2 on the season, and they're playing really, really good softball right now.
So you're going against one of your local teams and one of the coaches that's going to be on the show. Is that's watching? So am I to understand that correctly?
Yeah, well, maybe for the for the who's going to come out of nowhere, I'll pick Coach Lambert there in Hannon. Okay.
there you have it. All right. Well, there you have it. Is Laranja out of and that's probably my thought for the toughest bracket, because you do have Vanderbilt Catholic, you've got Edie White in there, you've got Buckeye. Coach Justin Keys and that group won back-to-back titles a couple of years ago, just missed out a year, and they're ready to go as well. So that's a very good pick, and that's your lock coming from the 5, not coming out of nowhere.
Hey, look, if you're gonna do it early on, let's take a big swing, right?
Throw the chalk in the trash. The man's going number 5. Mike Coppage, what say you?
I will respond to Mike's pick in a second. But first, I have to say Calvary Baptist would be the most likely to repeat from an odds standpoint. And they've played just a tremendous schedule, only lost one game and only lost that one by one run to a defending champion in Sterlington. Now, there are some great teams in Division III Select. You have D'Arbonne Woods, which gave Calvary some trouble in the past in Sulphur. And then you have a Notre Dame team that can really swing the bat. Now, in Division II Select, I got to look at Vanderbilt Catholic last week twice versus John Curtis and St. Thomas More. And I really like their chances in Division II Select. They don't have any seniors, which really said a lot about their team.
Look, that's great. Out of all of the brackets that are out there, and we're going to talk about that in a minute too. You guys win in the same bracket there. That's entertaining right off the bat. We had Calvary and D'Arbonne Woods. That was our game of the week. First one that we ventured out and did that one. And that was a pretty good ball game that came down to the wire as well. Senior right-hander Addison Willis started the game, and Addie threw the ball well. They had to bring in Anderson to finish things off for him, but that was quite a ball game that we had up in Shreveport at Lady Cavs Park. And so they said they thought that they would meet again for the state title, but 4 in a row. How do you go against Calvary? That's a great pick. All right, so comes to me, local area. Maybe I'm a homer, but LaSalle. LaSalle, I believe, is going to do things. I don't know that anybody is hammering the softball better than they are right now. They're just beating up people at a pretty big clip on there. I'm trying to get them pulled up in front of me of what they've done lately. But LaSalle, just up north from where we're at here, I believe goes out. They got knocked out, I guess, in the quarters last year. But this year they go all the way. You might as well hand them the trophy right now.
They are having a tremendous season, and I believe Rowdy Martin came back from last year's team, and I saw that their coach just set a school record for wins in the season. So I agree with you that they're a heavy favorite.
Yeah, 30-3 isn't shabby at all.
You look at the losses that are on there too. Is that Darbone Woods charter team? They've lost to a pretty good Caldwell Parish, and then they did lose to Buckeye, which is in that bracket with your guys' picks that I told you to watch out for. But we'll get to that in a minute. But I take the Lady Tigers of LaSalle to go ahead and take the trophy down. Don't even need to play the games. They're going to play them, and they're going to be a lot of fun. But LaSalle wins the title this year. Okay, so now we've got to find out who is the one that you think is going to come from the outside. And Mike McMillan, this is going to be good because you already picked a 5 as your lock. So I like the way you guys down there on the North Shore do things. But let's hold on to yours. Let's go down to our buddy, Mr. Clean. Tell us about that, Mike.
Well, for a team to maybe come out of nowhere, they're a number 7 seed, Sacred Heart. So they're not, that they were in Sulphur last year, but being a number 7 seed, they're obviously not in the top 6. And what's interesting about Division IV Select is Sacred Heart, Opelousas Catholic, and Catholic Point Coupé, district rivals. They were all in Sulphur last year. And Opelousas Catholic beat Catholic PC for the title. This year, Sacred Heart won the district again and beat both of those teams. And I believe Sacred Heart is coached by the former Opelousas Catholic coach. So number 7 Sacred Heart could be at number 2 Opelousas Catholic with the former coach leading the charge for Sacred Heart. So I'm not ready to say that Sacred Heart is going to beat Opelousas Catholic or top-seeded Catholic PC, but they won the district, and it could happen again.
Look, you talk about Sacred Heart, and we know a little bit more about them because we had that regular season finale last night as Sacred Heart came up to Holy Savior Menard, and we televised that game. That was a 3-0 ball game in that. The Lady Eagles win this. Sacred Heart was ranked 5th, and Menard was ranked 6th. And so Menard moves up to 5, down to 7. But such an interesting thing when the district champion is ranked 6 spots below 2 other teams in that district.
Yeah. That district is it's a great district, and Opelousas Catholic could very well repeat because they have Ashley Littleback pitching and the shortstop Madison Guzman, if I'm saying her last name correctly, Grace Luna, another great player. So I won't be upset if the newspaper asks me to go up to Opelousas Catholic and cover them in Sacred Heart in the quarterfinals if that's how it works out.
Absolutely. Well, that'll be a good one. Also, a reminder, if you've got your picks, let us know about it too. We've got 5 or 6 minutes until our leadoff hitter, Coach Tiff Woods of the Calvary Lady Cavs, joins us on here. Coaches will be on for 5 or 6 minutes, so we're going to zip through what our thoughts are here. Mike McMillan, outside, you already picked 5 as your chalk. What do you say from there?
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Mike with this and not get too further back, but Ponchatoula High School, Coach Harper there, they do a phenomenal job. They were runner-up last year in Division I non-select. They've moved into Division I select this year. 18-11, they played a really good schedule. Abby Dagro in the circle and at the plate is a big time difference maker when she's on. They've got some really good seniors even in the back of that lineup that produce night in and night out. Coach Harper does everything to the T. He is, and he'll be on later tonight. I'm excited for you guys and everybody listening to hear him. But from the minute you see their field to the uniforms and how they handle things, he runs a great program. Like I said, they've got experience from being there last year and being runner-up. I think their best years are still ahead of them, but they've got some experience. When Abby's on in the circle, they're going to be hard to beat. So that's an exciting one for me.
There you go. So what I'm seeing is that people that we know, we're staying there with them because we know. And look, I'm no different on there. Number 5 seed out of that Division 4 select, the Lady Eagles of Menard. They just won that game last night, 3-0. Only 2 seniors on that team. One of the juniors on the team is Kaylee Methvin, went over 500 strikeouts this year, but they're playing very solid defense for first-year coach Brad Turney. A lot of youth. The catalyst to that team is out in center field, Sawyer Shelton. This is a team that beat Kinder this year. One of their losses was to Calvary Baptist, 2 to St. Fred's on the same day when a couple of players were maybe not full strength on there. They're looking ahead at a quarterfinal matchup too. That would be there as they're the 4-5 in this, which would be interesting. But I say the Lady Eagles of Menard come out and bring another district title back to Alexandria.
That District 4, our division. We're talking about Division 4 select.
We're talking Division 4 select. Yep, it's loaded again. Catholic Point Capee, Sacred Heart, all of those. St. Fred. Yeah.
I'm not ready to discount Riverside. I wouldn't put Riverside going up to number 1 Catholic Point Coupe and pulling off an upset either, because Riverside got a transfer from St. Charles. And again, I live in South Louisiana, but I'm not always great on the names. But Cameron Cassien, if I'm saying her last name right, she transferred from St. Charles to Riverside, a great pitcher. And then Riverside has infielder Olivia St. Pierre. And I don't know that Catholic Point Coupe is a favorite over Riverside necessarily, even though they're the number 1 seed.
Look, and it's crazy. A lot of these, and this is so here we might as well get this in the open while we've got 2 or 3 minutes waiting on Coach Tiff. I don't like 10 champions on there too, and the way that it's spread out and all of the difference. Maybe you guys do, but 4 select, 4 non-select, separate out B and C. There's not a soapbox big enough for me to get on that tells you we should have 10 champions. Mike, I see you smiling back there down at the North Shore. What do you have?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, but I'm going to sound like the get off my lawn guy. I really just, I went to high school in the 90s on the South Shore in Louisiana, and I absolutely loved the competition and kind of the best being the best, right? And it didn't matter if it was, at the time private school or non-private school. We played. I was a destrand at a public school, but we played private schools and we won our share and we lost our share, and I thought that was fair. But it's exciting. I mean, obviously that there's a challenge there because you can't appease everybody, but you do give more trophies in a day and age. That's what we do. But I would like to see it back to less champions. That's for sure.
Mike, what about you?
But as a freelancer who gets paid by the article,
you want 20 champions.
Well, it never made me sad. It's never made me sad when there are more games, because there's more of a chance for me to put food on the table. So I don't mind it.
Has there ever been a year that you guys have seen in the time that you're following that baseball finished the regular season before softball did? We had that happen this year. Baseball wrapped up Monday. Softball didn't wrap up.
Softball went to Tuesday. Yeah. Well, what's crazy on that, Mike, too, is that there's some schedule changes there late in the season, right? The power ratings have kind of changed the approach there for some coaches, and there's some games that are scheduled that don't happen there on that Monday and Tuesday, and there's some games that aren't scheduled that pop up to adjust some power rankings. So it's different.
Well, one thing that is not different that remains the same is the history of the Lady Cavs up in Shreveport and Calvary. And let's go ahead and welcome out our first coach of the night. Our leadoff hitter is Coach Tiff Wood at Calvary, the Lady Cavs. And Coach, welcome aboard.
Hey, hello. Thanks for having me.
We're excited to have you up here, Mike and Mike, and that sounds like an ESPN show, but anyway, are here, and we're gonna hit you with some questions, and I'll start off with it as well on here. Your ladies are set to seek your 5th straight title, but one thing you made sure that I knew was it's one game at a time.
It is one game at a time. We have 4 left. So we talked about it today. We have 4 games left of the season, and we're taking it one game at a time.
Look, that's outstanding. Guys, I'll let you shoot a question there too. Start down on the North Shore with Mike.
Yeah, Coach, thanks for coming on and sharing your time with us and getting to talk about your team a little bit. One of the questions I had, just kind of looking at your schedule and what you guys gone through, I mean, as a coach, this might be hard to be honest with here, but what was that loss to Sterlington like? Did you kind of need that? Were you kind of wanting that to happen at the end, or what?
Oh, it really stunk. But it's one of those things, like I told them, it's so the schedule that we play, it's okay to lose a game. It was a good game. It was a 2-1 win. Loss. We just didn't hit well enough to win it. And so I think that we learned some things from that. I think it helped us moving forward, and better to have that loss on, April 7th than later in the year.
Yeah, well, unfortunately for Manny, you put up 17 runs the next night. So whatever you did worked.
Yeah, that's the problem is being the team after the team.
Yeah.
Mike Coppage from Acadiana area. What do you have?
Hi, Coach.
Hey.
I had the pleasure of watching you guys first. I believe it was against Archbishop Chappelle back-to-back in STM last year in Broussard, and it's such a blessing to have 2 ace pitchers going into a game. Do you have a particular strategy in mind with how you're going to utilize your arms in the playoffs with Kinsey and Addison?
We're going to kind of just, play it game by game and see. It's definitely an advantage to be able to have 2 pitchers that can throw well in the playoffs, especially on those games back to back. We'll probably, give Kinsey the start in this first playoff game and utilize Addie as well, and just get them both some reps, some innings, and let them feel comfortable starting the playoffs off.
Coach, it's been a story for you guys, the way you hit the softball. And one walk around your practice facility, and you can see why. The weight training, the training that goes on there. But tell us about the power of Bachhaus and Civils and just all of your lineup on there, the way they hit the ball out of the park with regularity.
Yeah, those kids are strong. They're very strong. Our lineup is strong. We have the capability for, more than one person to be able to hit it out, which can change a game at any given time. They work hard on their swings, and then they also work hard on the little things, on working out, on being strong in the areas that matter as far as hitting, and continuing to just hit. We did it a lot today, just to hit a lot today, keep our workout even during season time, and to be able to stay physically in shape as well.
One other question for you, Coach, and we'll get a couple more from the panel as well. But you have and with 3 seniors on this year's team. Of course, Elena Franks being the one that this season is dedicated to it. Tell us a little bit about the season and how special it's been, just the way they've carried on for her.
Yeah, our girls have done a great job. I mean, it's been tough. That was tough to start the year off with, coming back from Christmas break and losing a piece to our family, a piece to our puzzle that fits so well. And the girls have done a really good job. They have played for something bigger than themselves. We have constantly talked about her and how proud she would be of them and our team.
Well, absolutely. Guys, do you have something?
Coach, you lose, I guess, DJ and Ramsey last year to graduation, and then you have a ton of young talent. What's it like having a roster with players up and down the grade level of classifications that are such outstanding players?
It's a great thing to have. It's good to have kids that can be able to step in. Yes, we lost 3 seniors last year, and then of course, losing Elena early this year. So we were replacing 4 starters. And to be able to have kids that have, been in the program, that have bought into the program, got a little time here and there last year, but have really worked hard to earn, starting spots and being in a staple in our lineup. I mean, it's awesome.
Just to build on the youth of it that he talked about, you've got you've got 2 sophomores that are playing for their 4th straight state title as starters, and 2 juniors that are doing the same, which means if I can count 7, 8, 9, and 8, they've started and been contributing at 7th and 8th graders.
Yes, they have. Both of my juniors started as 8th graders in 2022, and then I have 5 sophomores total, but 2 of them have started as 7th graders. So we are youth. We have some youth out there when you look at it 9th through 12th, but we have a lot of maturity too. We have kids that have been in this situation. We have kids that do really well and that are going to be able to handle the pressure and handle the things that come with it and know what it's like to be at that state tournament.
Well, that's exciting to have that experience. Mike from the North Shore, do you have anything for Coach Tiff? You scared her off, I think.
Coach went dark on us. We're back.
If somebody hitting BP, they knocked the light tower down again. Is probably what happened.
Well, I'll just say, watching Cavalry in every sport, it's no secret that the weight room is important. I think that's one of the best schools in the state from how those players handle that part of it, and it obviously shows when they step on the field. And I think, and Coach, can you allude to this a little bit? But just like you're seeing baseball and the game change a little bit on the power side, what kind of changes have you seen on the softball side, and how that's kind of changed, I guess, the approach and how the game's played?
Yeah, I think it's one advantage. It's weight training wasn't as big of a deal 20 years ago in high schools like it is now. Although we didn't do it as year round. And just being able to show kids what, being physically strong and physically fit and endurance and being able to hang into the games, that's huge. And the kids have bought in. There's so many people doing private lessons as far as not just like skill sets, not just softball and baseball skill sets, but they're doing private weight training lessons, speed development. You're just seeing it grow. You're seeing kids becoming faster, becoming stronger, and having success with that. And then others want to join in. So, you have 1 or 2 that start, and then next thing you know, you have 6 or 7 kids doing the extra work, not just again, hitting and throwing, but also in the weight room.
Well, Coach Tiff, it's certainly paying off. You ladies are going for your 7th overall and 5th straight, and we wish you the best of luck. Mike has already picked you as his lock, so you got nothing to worry about.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely. Coach Tiffany Wood joins us here. Excited to have her, and we'll see you down the road, Coach.
See y'all then.
There you go, Coach Tiffany Wood. And Coach Tiff is just – we sat out at practice a couple of times, and Mike, I know that you talked to her some as well, but she leans on her father, Greg Frazier, a lot too, who has been coaching for years and years. It's a tradition there at Calvary.
Talking to me or other Mike?
Yes. Sorry. Yes, you, Mike. See, that's the problem. I'm going to just have to call him North Shore, I think.
Yeah. We'll just say we'll North Shore here. Clean and North Shore. We'll give it a North Shore.
That makes life easy.
It's incredible that Calvary Baptist won every game but one so far this season against such a tremendous schedule. And I mean, there are teams that have 2 pitchers that are good, but there aren't 2 teams that have pitchers like Addison Willis and Kenzie Anderson, and that's what Calvary has.
Addie is 10-0 last year, and she's 10-0 this season as well. And she's put up 20-0 over the last couple of years, and just a pleasure to visit with her. We saw them a couple of times. We saw them the Darbone, and then we saw them again when they came to town and played Menard. And you hate to use this term, but they're as advertised. One of those teams that is new to what's going on here, as far as maybe the overall spectrum of it, is Pine Prairie here locally. And we're just delighted to have Coach Alicia Hebert that joined us on here. Coach, welcome.
Hi. Welcome. How are y'all?
Good.
We're doing great on here, and so and no, we've talked off the air a little bit as well, and there's nothing to be scared about. Not a lot of interviews. That's changing with the work that your ladies are doing. You've had quite a season. You got us there. Did she lose?
Okay, I lost signal. Okay.
Okay, well, we can hear you. There you go.
There you go.
So, okay, yes, I was nervous just because, I mean, I'm following Tiffany Wood. She's a friend of mine, and like, come on, like, it doesn't get much better. But she actually has been one of the mentors. Her dad, her sister, Justin Keys, all of them have played a huge role in my development as a coach. And I'm, such blessed to have them in my corner that I can contact them. Like, matter of fact, before I had got a text message earlier from Tiffany that said, don't forget to submit your roster by this day. She's on the board for LSCA as well as me. So we just tend to work well, and I'm glad to be on here and put Pine Prairie back on the spectrum.
Look, it's been a great season for you. There, I mean, the moniker is the Dirty Dozen, and
Yes.
And it just seems like the young ladies are having a lot of fun.
As I am, our whole coaching staff, this by far has been one of the obviously closest, because we're down to 12, but just throughout our coaching staff, I mean, everyone feels like a family. We've never had that before. We've always had some great talent, but we could never make it there. And like I tell them, one game at a time, we'll see where it goes. We hope for the best, and just prepare for each opponent that comes at us.
There you go. Mike from down in Acadiana, Mr. Clean, what do you have?
Hey, Coach. Great, awesome won and loss record. What has helped you guys be so great this year, and what can you tell us about Kennedy Ware?
She seems to be the topic. Honestly, I can tell you that not talking, if I didn't per se talk about Kennedy Ware, yes, she's a phenomenal pitcher, but our team came as unity. She takes it and she understands it's about we and not about me. So she has been very humbled. She has like 290 strikeouts, and never once does she want to go take a picture and, put it all over social media. Now, I told her if she meets a milestone that we're going to, celebrate those little things, because as a freshman coming into this season, to, wrap it back to your first question, we started with strength and conditioning this past summer. We did lots of, weight room, just calisthenics, you name it. We had LSUE have a weight training program that we followed, and we religiously did it together. And they stayed committed. They bought in. I thought everything was wonderful. And then we had a situation with one of our assistant coaches who was unable to fulfill his duties. So by happen chance, I am texting a friend who used to coach and checking on his health because he wasn't in the best situation. And when I checked on him, I said, "How are you feeling?" And he said, "I'm actually feeling great." I said, "Do you want to come coach?" And it has been a blessing. And he was number 12 in high school. We have 12 players. There's so many things. I'm not going to share them all, but that go into the Dirty Dozen besides just 12 players. And I think God brought him to us for a reason. My program goes back to giving everything we have to God for the one that has gave us the purpose to have these talents. Without him, none of this is possible. And so you may see my girls throughout the series, they point straight up, because every game we're glorifying him. Coach Cetus was on hospice in October, not just for cancer, but for he had congestive heart failure, which he still has. And it's just been rocky. I mean, he was in the hospital twice since we've been this season. The girls have adapted to it. They want to play for him. They know that, I would have never brought someone on that I didn't trust fully. I'm not going to say everything goes to him, but he has been a huge part of our success. I trust him hitting. I mean, he's just a wonderful person, and we are blessed to have him. The rest of my coaching staff as well, but we've all gotten better, and Kennedy has been a hot topic for that. She does her job. We don't really have to say much other than she is a beast. Yes, she's special.
We're looking forward to being down there and streaming one. North Shore Mike, what do you have?
Yeah, Coach. Obviously, the hot topics, Kennedy. Everybody's talking about her and her skill set and what a talent she is. But can you talk a little bit about your lineup? You've got a really balanced lineup. You've got a lot of players that produce day in and day out. I mean, you look up and down the stat sheet, and it's hard to tell who the heck is who anymore. Everybody's hitting for average. Everybody's hitting for power. Everybody's driving in runs and scoring. How's that kind of helped you, even knowing what you have with Kennedy, but being able to go to the plate and score runs when you need to?
Whew, that is the hot question. Every coach is, I guess they wish they had this problem, but it is. I don't know game to game what my lineup might look like because everyone contributes. I've never coached a team that I know 1 through 9 or 1 through 10 can all produce for me. Now, do we go through slumps? Absolutely. But up until recently, we've just, I mean, like you said, to make a lineup, it's been, okay, if this one's on, she's right here. If she's not, she's right here, and I have faith in every single one of them. Kennedy has been a huge stick for us as well as on offense. These are the type of girls that came up playing elite travel ball. They know that to be selective, and when you are selective, you're going to eventually either the pitcher's going to miss her spot or you're going to get your pitch you're looking for. And that is, I think, a huge buy-in that we had this year. We've collected quite a few walks. And as a former pitcher, I'm able to, Coach Keys and Coach Keys, excuse me. I wanted to mention something about Coach Keys, so don't let me forget. But Coach Cetus and I work really well together. He is like, I call him the professional hitter. He's always been very, very strategic about what he teaches, how he teaches, and the girls have bought in, and it's helped tremendously. They want to play for each other, play for us. I don't have to push them because they want it that much.
Well, that is awesome. And Coach Keys down at Buckeye as well is where he's at and making a deep run. Coach, we gotta let you go on this, but we are going to come down. We're going to get another segment. You know that it's a ball player when you come. Is that a 4-wheeler behind you that you rode up to the interview on? That is so cool. No, I'm loving that.
I live 4 blocks from the field, so and then there's the side by side as well.
If you can't come to an interview on a 4-wheeler or side by side, what good is it?
Yes, sir.
I love it.
But to tell Keys, I love him. He's been one of my biggest mentors. I wish them the best of luck. Good, solid program. Good luck to all of my coaching friends, and I wish everyone the best. Thank y'all for having me.
Coach Alicia Hebert, Pine Prairie, the Lady Panthers, doing big things down there. Coach, thank you. That's just great, guys. You said so. We've got a break before we get to Coach Brad Woodard of Tioga. First 2 hitters really set the tone in this North Shore, Mike. I mean, that 8 o'clock hour is filled with a lot of your folks, so they're going to have to bring it.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously Coach Wood is legendary, and what they're doing there is kind of second to none. It's really neat to see, Coach Hebert kind of credit, her mentors and her coaches. And, we talk a lot about, star players, and she's got a tough problem, right? which is none at all, because she's got a phenomenal pitcher and a lot of really good hitting. But it'll be interesting. I'm excited to hear from the rest of the coaches and kind of continue to learn about some other programs as well. It's good stuff.
Look, indeed it is. Mike, we joked with her a little bit, Mike Coppage, we joked with her a little bit about riding up on a four-wheeler. But if you've spent time in Pine Prairie and that area, man, that's just par for the course.
My dad was a Methodist minister, and sometimes we moved around every year, but it was always every few years at a minimum. And we spent some time in Oakdale. And one of my best friends was from Pine Prairie. Back then, it was just a hole in the wall, non-football playing school. That was a speed trap, and now it's grown into a Class 3A school, and the community is thriving. And what's interesting is Pine Prairie got upset last year in the second round by Manny, and they could face Manny or South Beauregard, both traditional perennial powers in the playoffs this year. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if Manny and Pine Prairie square off again.
And yeah, no doubt. And we saw the Lady K's just the other day. Anytime the Lady K's are on the floor, on the diamond, wherever they're at, they're going to bring it to you. You're watching the Dash for Frasch. It is our bracket reveal and analysis. Don't forget, this show is about you. If you have questions or comments on whatever platform you're on, go ahead and do that. Want to look over the lineup of coaches that we have. We've got Coach Brad Woodard coming, Coach Jason Helmsetter of Mandeville, Shane Rodriguez of Pope John Paul II, Ronnie Lasuzo of St. Fred's, Jeremy Harper Ponchatoula, the Lady Wave, not Waves, Wave with just no S, Chelsea Nettie of Northshore, and Becky Lambert, just a legend. And we want to hear what she says, the fact that Northshore Mike picked against her. So we'll visit with that. But our first two coaches that we had Coach Tiff, we had Coach Abear on there. Guys, it's what you get out of softball. You get just so much spirit and passion for their players.
The excitement level at softball in Louisiana at games, it's contagious, and it's electric. And the way the dugouts chatter. I was at Kaplan for Kaplan versus Northside Christian the other night, and Coach Brittany LeBeouf, she said, they won 15-0, but she's a perfectionist. There were things she wants to improve on, and one of those was the energy level and chatter out of the dugout. When you go to a softball game with elite teams, it's really fun to be there.
Look, it is exciting to see it. And in a few minutes, we're going to have one of these three coaches that we talked about. Coach Woodard from Tyward joins us here in just a moment. But if you look at Division I Select, there are three teams in the top 5 from Central Louisiana on there. And that's not to mention Menard that's in as well. But Pineville sits at number 1, Alexandria sits at number 3, and Tioga sits at number 5. It's just, you look around these areas, man, that Division I is pretty solid as well.
Yeah, for sure. And, Ponchatoula as a number 8 seed, possibly going to number 1 Pineville in the quarterfinals. That's a great matchup and it'll be interesting with Ponchatoula switching over from the non-select to select side, like Northshore Mike mentioned. STM, St. Thomas More, that is Alexandria, and John Curtis, Mount Carmel. They've all been struggling lately, but some of them got some crucial wins to close out the regular season, especially with STM and John Curtis. And the top 4, I like the top 4 in Division I Select.
Yeah,
Mike, what do you say about that, Northshore Mike, about the strength of that division?
Yeah, no, Mike alluded to it, and you're kind of touching on that. Seeing STM and John Curtis, have some bumps there at the end, and then come back from them. It is a powerful group. I mean, you look at Ponchatoula, a state runner-up as an 8 seed, and deservingly so. Those top 5 seeds are where they belong. It's a very deep group that it'll be interesting in those quarterfinal rounds to see, some really, really good matchups, which it's exciting to see at that time and not have to wait until you get to Sulphur to see some of those matchups. So it's going to be interesting. It'll be a fun one to watch for sure.
Look, one thing about these multiple divisions in there, you have the small, what 20 teams making the playoffs. There's some good teams that are getting left out, but it's not going to be a shock if a 15, 16, 17, 18 comes in and knocks somebody off in there as well. But you're right. The top 5 is loaded on there. Let me ask you a question before we get Coach Woodard in here in a couple of minutes. So the way the divisions are and the way that it's set up, they're a 4A school, so a smaller school, but just enough to get up into Division I. So they're going against the Alexandrias and Pineville and those guys. Now, they won't back up from it at all, and Coach Woodard will tell us that as well. But what are your thoughts on the smaller schools having to go up and play with the bigger schools? Mr. Clean?
Well, I think it's a proven, borne-out fact that the larger schools have a better chance. Like, say, for instance, a couple of years ago in football, in Division II, there were some Class 4A teams that were towards the bottom of the bracket. Norfolk, for instance, made it to the quarterfinals as one of the last teams to make it into the playoffs. And so I definitely, I don't know. Part of it may be mental, but the increase. I don't know how the numbers always cut off, but I think there is at least at times a mental edge for the larger school teams, and they obviously come out of districts that are probably tougher.
Well, one person that's not going to back up from being a Division 4 or a Class 4A school playing in Division 1 is Tioga Lady Indians head coach Brad Woodard, and he joins us now. Coach, you heard us off stage talking about that, and that's the first question that we'll ask as you jump in. What's the thought process on the divisions and you being a 4A playing up with the 1A? Does it matter?
Yes and no. We play Division I teams. We play 5A teams all year long. It's kind of a disadvantage a little bit when we're sitting at about 840 kids and we're going against people that's 1,500 or 2,000. It's almost a whole nother school in there that's the size of us. But we're where we're at, so we're going to play where we're at, and we're going to continue to just try to do everything we can.
Guys that have seen those programs, and I guess my dogs are unhappy with the fact that the show's moving along like it is, so we'll get them out of here. But Northshore Mike, you don't see a lot of teams up here a lot too, but you've got some that are spread out in different divisions. What do you have for Coach Woodard?
Yeah, Coach. Thanks for coming on and meeting with us. If you could, can you kind of allude to how your team's come along from where you were at in the beginning of the year to, let's just say the last couple of weeks and what you've seen from them and how you feel about that group going into the playoff run?
Well, we're very young. We graduated 5 kids last year. Shortstop went to Southern Miss. Had a Grambling commit, and my pitcher could have went to 2 or 3 different places. So we start 4 underclassmen, 5 underclassmen. We have 4 returners. Only one that's playing the position that she played as our center fielder. Everybody else is in a new spot and stuff. So we've had a good year. We're 19-8, like y'all were talking about. We're ranked number 5. We've actually had some things go on here the last couple of weeks with some sickness. Got my center fielders had the flu, and we've had a little adversity and stuff, but we've played some really good games. My kids have grown. I feel like that they've matured, and I just feel like when we get on the field and we're healthy, I feel like that we can play with just about anybody. If we go out and play like we're capable of.
Mr. Clean, from Acadiana area, you're a little bit closer to this area. You've seen some of the players that Tioga have played. What are your thoughts on the Lady Indians?
Well, Coach, kudos on such a great season because, like you mentioned, you graduated some all-state great players last year. Christina Lambert, for one, and then you talked about Roland, and there were also more players. What has helped you plug and play and succeed so much this season? And I'm covering Turlings Catholic versus John Eric tomorrow. Are you going? And you'll face the winner, right? What do you think about that matchup?
Well, we won't get to go tomorrow. We got a tune-up game with Buckeye tomorrow, but we will have people there watching. And you know, Turlings is always a good team. They've been like that for a while. You know, we haven't really got to see them very much this year, but we've got some scouting reports on them throughout the day today and stuff. So we're going to try to put all that together after we scrimmage Buckeye tomorrow. And you know, that area down there, Lafayette area, Acadiana, we played Acadiana a couple of years when we 23 when we made it to the state championship game. You know, that whole area down there, St. Thomas More, those guys just can play, and we're familiar with them. We've seen them and done some things, but you know, I feel like it's going to be Turlings Catholic. I feel like that they're going to come away with the win, and we're going to have to prepare and try to figure out how to beat them.
Well, Coach, you guys have taken the attitude of we'll play whoever, whenever. Your last week of the season was as tough as anybody's on there. You know, you had North DeSoto in there. I think had Equipment in there as well too. And you have that scrimmage with Buckeye. What's that mindset with your girls that like, look, there's no time off for us. We're full speed ahead.
Well, what we talk about is this you know, our district was pretty tough with West Washita coming back into the district. Grant, I think beat Ash yesterday 3-0. So those guys can play. Franklin Parish, you know, and then like I told our kids, if we can go compete with the West Washitas, with the North DeSotas, with the Ginas, with Equipment, because Gina was the week before, if we can go compete with those guys and have opportunities to have success, then we can play with anybody that we're going to face. You know, the Turlings, the John Curtises, the Pineville, the Ashes. We played Ash early in the year. You know, so we're not going to back down. We're going to play whoever wants to play us, and you know, our mentality is we try to reload. We try to put kids out there ready to go. We play a lot of JV games throughout the year to try to get those kids ready. You know, like I said, with 500 classmen on the field, you know, we've taken some hits, but we feel like our kids have matured and they're understanding what we want from them.
Yet you're still in there, you know, and that's the one thing, Coach, and I've known you for years in there, and you've always done that where you've just been able to get a little bit better. You're like, well, we're losing these, but oh yeah, wait a minute, here's what we have. We saw in one of the games we did last year, the young lady on the JV that homered in that JV game. It's like, well, or no, I'm sorry, you brought her into pinch hit, and she homered again in the JV game right after that. So it's a great history out at Ward 10. And in that area, how do they keep bringing so many players out?
Well, 10 has they have a good program. They have a lot of kids that play out in the Dixie program, travel ball. You can't come to our park and not have kids out there playing right now. So, and we have a good figure program. Our junior high, they do a good job there getting kids to us, and you know, and we work. We try to get in there. I've got a really good coaching staff. Coach Barber. Coach at LCU now. He was there for several years, high school coach. And my wife coaches with me. She was a Northwestern State University Hall of Fame softball player. My other assistant coach played college baseball. My pitching coach, he's done a really good job. So we have good coaches, but at the end of the day, the kids have to go out and perform. The kids have to work, you know, and they have to do the things that's asked of them. And we've been fortunate to over the last 7 or 8 years. We've seen to be in the quarterfinals or the semifinals, even the finals and stuff, just because of the hard work those kids put in.
Indeed, they have. Guys, anything left for Coach Woodard?
Coach, what can you tell us about your pitching this year? Because Christina had the bulk of the innings last year, right?
Yes, sir. I have a senior pitcher, Caitlin Robertson. Caitlin pitched early in the year until Christina kind of got going. And then we got Lauren Taylor that's come in that's done a great job. You know, and if those guys go in and hit spots, we're not going to blow it by people. But if they can hit spots and move the ball around, we've had success, you know, and we keep the walks down. And we've done that over the last 3 weeks. We've got the walks down a little bit and stuff. And, you know, we're trying to cut down on some of the mistakes behind them. As long as we can continue to get better on that, I think we can make a little run in this thing. Like I said, it's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. But like I said, I'm proud of how our pitchers have progressed through the year.
From the North Shore, Mike, wrap it up for us.
Yeah, Coach. Once again, thank you for joining us. It's you know, we talked about that you know, bracket you're in and the challenges there. You know, best of luck to you. It'll certainly be a challenge. You alluded to this a little bit, but obviously you guys are extremely prepared. You've got a great team and a great coaching staff. So there's no doubt y'all will be ready to go make a run here. We look forward to following you.
We thank y'all. Thank y'all for having us. Thank y'all for what y'all do for high school sports.
Yes, sir. Coach Woodard, thank you very much, brother. I appreciate you being out here. And,
Yes,
and I'll keep Chuck away from you for a little while at least.
I'll tell you, it's going to be a hard job, but I appreciate if you can handle that for me.
There you go. Coach Brad
Yes,
Woodard, the number 5 ranked Division I select Tioga Lady Indians, poised to make a deep run in this year's playoff, and we'll see it all along. Coach, thank you.
Thank y'all. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Guys, what you're seeing is just that passion continues. And I know, Mike, from the North Shore, you've kind of been out of sorts as it's been folks away from the North Shore a little bit. But here at the 8 o'clock or the 8:56 hour, I think we've got one of your guys coming on. Tell us who's up next.
Yeah, we're waiting to hear from Coach at Mandeville here. It's an exciting one. They've got a really good matchup with Destrehan. Two middle seeded teams. They played earlier in the year, so we'll certainly allude to that. We're waiting on a district meeting to end here, so hopefully he can get in when that happens.
I tell you what, we've got a coach that we can probably move into this segment that's jumped on already. If you want to do let's pull him down on there.
Let's do it.
He joined in. It's out of that tough division that we talked about. And St. Fred head coach Ronnie Lasuzo. And Coach, welcome aboard.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? Appreciate you having me on.
Look, we enjoy it. We've been talking about some of the brackets that are the toughest, and yours keeps popping up on there. You've got a tremendous team, and you're sitting in that number. I guess it's the number 4 spot is where you're at right now. But my goodness, tell me about the season that you've had and the way things have been led off with your leadoff hitter, Avery Hauser.
Well, our season really started at the end of last year. Most of my players got back to work in the summertime. They put a lot of work in. A lot of them play travel ball, but they got in the weight room, and that continued on into the fall when school started. And we got back in the weight room and we started working out and doing a little bit of the softball stuff, and then just carried that into the spring. And the girls have had a really, really good mindset about going into this year, and I'm very proud of the work they've put in. As far as Avery Hauser, she's my leadoff hitter. She's been my leadoff hitter since she's a junior, and she's been my leadoff hitter since she was in the 7th grade. And I've watched her really grow and mature as a softball player and also being a tremendous young lady. But she's having a tremendous year for us this year, and looking forward to carrying it on into the playoffs.
We'll get deeper into some of the other players, but a game that we covered, they pitched her inside, and she homers and pulls the ball over the fence to left field. So they got wise and said, we're going to pitch her away. She hits one further opposite field.
Right. She's very good at going oppo, but, we teach and we preach to our girls as far as they're hitting, we want to go gap to gap. We want to make adjustments at the plate, and, these girls have done a really good job this year of doing that and kind of understanding what it takes to go gap to gap and go with the pitch.
Well, we've got a couple of talented members of our panel, and they've got some questions for you. I know. Let's head down to the North Shore and look at Mike from North Shore down there. Mike?
Yeah, Coach, thanks for joining us. You've obviously had a tremendous year with some talented players. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges you've had so far this season and kind of what you guys have overcome and what you've done to overcome some of those challenges?
Well, there's always ups and downs, and I tell my players all the time that, when you go through these ups and downs, the smart team always comes out on top. And they've handled those challenges very, very well. And that's what good teams do. So I'm very proud of the way they've handled that. We've lost some very tough games against some very, very close, very good teams. Could have went either way. It's like I said after the Sterlington game, the softball guys just weren't with us in that game. And that happens sometimes, but you got to learn and grow from that to get better.
Down in the Acadiana area, we've got Mike as well. Mike, what do you have?
Hey, Coach, in Division IV Select, to me, the top 9 teams are really tough. and you are, I believe, are a number 4 seed for the second consecutive year. I know we don't want to look ahead, but what are your thoughts on this number 5 seed Menard team that you may end up facing in the quarterfinals? They've been on fire lately. What can you tell me about them?
Well, I kind of figured that was going to be a question you're going to ask. One of y'all was going to ask today. I really did. Yeah, we've played them twice, but you know what? I'm not looking at that right now. And I've told my players that we got to get past the second round game. We're very fortunate to be a 4 seed and to have a first round bye. And, we're looking at Covenant Christian and Delta Charter, and that's what we're focused on right now. We're not focused on anybody else.
Gotcha.
Look, anybody that knows Coach Ronnie will certainly know that answer was coming. Your pitcher has been pretty solid all year. She's the ULM commit, I believe, and just doing big things. Got to see her when she was here in town when you played Menard in that doubleheader. And I'm telling you what, she controls the circle. Yeah,
she does. She's one of those little players that has really, really worked hard her whole career to get where she's at. And she's one of those players that wants the ball. Coach, give me the ball. As a coach, you like those type of players. The special thing, one of the special things about Abigail is her work ethic. And she's a tremendous leader on the field. She leads with vocal, and she also leads by example. And she works very hard, and she's done that her entire career. And we're looking forward to putting her in the circle with that first playoff game, and we'll see where it takes us.
Look, that's exciting. And the one thing that I've seen because I've seen you play, I guess 3 or 4 times this year, and that's great. Your fan base is loud. The team plays well. Let me tell you something that I witnessed that's away from it is when you guys got off the bus there at Menard, nobody walked in individually. Everybody stayed in a group. They all had their backpacks on with the 2 bats in and their cleats on them. I mean, everything was uniformly done in that. So, and that's beyond the X's and O's.
Well, one of the things we talk about ever since I took this program over and started the process of building the program at St. Felix is we're going to do everything together. We're all together. And, we made it to Sulphur in 2023 and got a little short. And when I had the end of the year meeting, I added a word to that. I said, now we want to finish together. And so that's kind of what our 2 words are going into this year is we do everything together, but we want to finish together. And that's what we're striving to do right now.
Well, we look at questions from our audiences, and one comes from Stuart Miller, and it says, ask Coach about his workout routine.
I don't know what she's talking about. My workout routine or my practice routine. If he's talking about my practices, I'm a very simple coach. We work on the routine plays every day, and we hit every day. I don't do any fancy stuff. I'm a big believer that what wins ball games defensively is you got to make the routine plays, and that's what we work on every day. And I told my team this just today at practice. I said, we're not changing anything. We're going to continue to do what we have done all year to get us to this point. If you hadn't learned it now, I can't help you, but we got to keep improving. You show up at practice every day. And one of our mottos is when you come to practice, you want to win at practice every day. You want to work harder today than you did yesterday to be better tomorrow. And that's what we strive to do.
Coach Ronnie Lasuzo, we appreciate you joining us on here. I'm a partial to your squad because I've seen them play several times. They play with a lot of fun, but the organization and the discipline of this team, boy, it's going to be a good run in that dash for Frasch, without a doubt.
Well, I appreciate y'all having me on, and we're looking forward to getting into the playoffs. Like I said, I told my team this is the second season, and everybody's got a record of 0-0. So we're looking forward to it. And guys, I truly appreciate you having me on to represent St. Frederick's High School.
Look, we look forward to coming up there this year and next year and covering a lot of softball. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Thank both all y'all.
There you have it.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
You bet. Thank you.
North Shore Mike, I know eventually we're going to get to one of your guys. We have to on there. Scheduled for the next segment. We do get into one, and he's out of Pope John Paul II. But your look before we get him on here, and that North Shore area in general, How competitive is it down there?
You know, it's interesting, Greg, because so much of the season they spend beating up on each other, right? Until and then district play comes and they beat up on each other some more in other districts. What's really neat about the area is we've got a lot of schools in a small area, but they're all big schools, right? So a lot of these girls play against each other and with each other in the summers. So it's unique. You know, if you go talk to a parent of a really good player, they know every single really good player. They all play against each other and with each other. It's been great to cover. The coaches have given us great access to their programs and their stats and their players. The families have been phenomenal. So we couldn't be more pleased and blessed to be able to share the spotlight on this great group of teams.
Well, I'm going to let you lead some of the questions, but let's head down to Pope John Paul II and Coach Shane Rodriguez as he joins on. We will move Jason Helmstetter down into Coach Lasuzo's position in the next segment on there. I know he's on with her, but right now out of Pope John Paul II, Coach Rodriguez, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all having me on here.
Look, I'm gonna turn the questions over to Northshore Mike. That's what we're calling him because out of 3 panelists, 2 of them are named Mike. So I got no choice. So Northshore Mike, take it away.
Coach, thanks for having us, man. I really appreciate it. I know you guys have been super busy. One of the things that I'll say without you saying it is Pope John Paul as a school. It's been great to cover, but what I've noticed more about you guys than anything is it's an absolute community. Every sport supports every sport. It's been phenomenal to follow, and I really appreciate that. Going into the season, and you know, I know that we covered Keisha and what she's been going through and how she's coming out of that. But can you talk a little bit about what the preparation was like going into this season after last year and kind of what the approach was?
Yeah, well, this year we started off with losing our pitcher that was a senior last year. We lost a middle infielder. Our catcher was kind of a last-minute move to Washington. So we had to replace, you know, some primary positions. I'm not going to say we're young, but we do have 2 seniors that start, and we're kind of junior heavy with a couple of 8th grade and 9th graders. So it was more or less a rebuilding year. You know, not so much, but just our pitcher from last year, now Alabama, who's a junior, through, I'd say, probably half the games of our starting pitcher, and just some new positions for a few girls. So more of a rebuilding year. We worked a lot, really trying to build the atmosphere for these girls, just teach them to play ball the right way and have each other's back and be positive.
Yeah, talk a little bit about Shane. Can you give us a little bit more kind of, you know, what you dealt with and where you guys are at now with kind of shortstop and second base and having to move Keisha over and obviously her cousin filling in at shortstop and then touch on Babin a little bit in the circle. You know, she's starting to come on here towards the end of the year and give you guys some pretty consistent play there, huh?
Yeah, well, coming in, so at the end of the year last year, Kayla had got hurt, and I can't remember which game it was, if it was a playoff game, but it was right around playoff time. Who played short? Keisha was at second. So Kayla got hurt, and Keisha moved to shortstop, and then when Kayla was back, she came on to third base. So we were coming into this year figuring Keisha as being the shortstop, and then cousin Cam either be in third base or second base. And then Keisha got sick in November during volleyball season, and then we had to deal with getting her healthy. So we had some adjustments there, moving Cam over from playing primarily third base to shortstop. So she had a little bit of a learning curve, which she did really well. Really athletic kid, hard worker, stays after practice every single day. If she doesn't, something's wrong. And again, Keisha has worked her butt off in the gym and trying to get back. And she's not where she wants to be, but she's getting there. So we've transitioned her back into shortstop, Cam back over to third base, and with Alabama in the circle, she's been doing really, really well for us.
Mike down in Acadiana, Mr. Clean, what do you have?
Coach, you're a number 10 seed back-to-back years, if I'm not mistaken. And last year you lost to St. Charles in a close game in the quarterfinals. They moved up. What do you see as the key for you guys to make it at least that far again this year?
So St. Charles has been our kryptonite. I think it's the past 2 years they knocked us out of playoffs. They knocked baseball out of playoffs last year. But earlier in the season, I think we beat them pretty good. So we were actually very confident going into that game. just at their place, we haven't been able to put it together. This year we got Beekman Charter Saturday. We scheduled the game. I've talked to the coach a little bit. I'm feeling pretty confident. Obviously not going to overlook anybody, but we're feeling pretty confident with that game. And then we would head to St. Louis Catholic, which is Lake Charles area, so about 3 hours away. Again, I feel like we're in a really good spot to make a good run this year. We will have a very tough game against the Arbonne Woods, which is out in Arkansas for us, about a 5-hour drive. So I don't want to look ahead too far. Obviously, it's one game at a time, but I like our chances this year. I like where we're at in the seeding. We kind of hoped for this spot, to be honest.
Coach, it's such a tremendous division that you're in. It is loaded with ball clubs. What do you do this week to stay focused and say, look, it is over. This is that next season. We have to go in and do this. How do you keep that focus?
That's actually exactly what we discussed this morning. We had a 8 a.m. practice this morning, and that was our first thing. This is a whole new season. We get to start fresh. We get to forget about any mistakes we had during season. And we just focused on working hard every day, doing what we can do. You know, I allow them to make mistakes. I'm not going to jump them for making mistakes. Effort and attitude is our goal. That's it. If we can try our hardest and do our best, hopefully things will work out our way.
Yeah, effort and attitude. I love that. There's always that team moniker, that team spirit that goes from year to year to year. And we call them T-shirt phrases. That's something that looks good on a T-shirt.
Yeah, we've tried really hard to build a culture this year. We've had to sit girls when we didn't want to. We've had to make small adjustments just to set an example. You know, this is how we want things to run. We want y'all to be dedicated, and we want you to buy in. And that's what we've worked on mainly this year, is kind of creating a culture.
Mike from North Shore, finish us up with it.
Yeah, Coach. Once again, thanks for joining us. You know, we're looking forward to your bracket. You know, like Greg had mentioned, you've got an absolute gauntlet to run there towards the end of there. You know, I like where you guys sit as well. I think you know, you've done an excellent job with your program and instilling the things that matter. Like I said, when I was on and you know, we talked a little bit about this a couple of weeks ago, but when you're 2 through 5 are hitting, you're a different team, right? And so it'll be fun to watch that and see if that continues.
Absolutely, you're right. Yeah, when we're hitting in the middle of the lineup, we're capable of beating anybody. So we continue hitting the ball. I feel like we'll do well, and we do. You're right. We have a tough. I mean, looking at the top of the bracket, I mean, we got a Calvary Baptist team that's won state every year. That girl's been pitching over there, so we'll have our work cut out for sure, but we're ready for it.
Well, it's going to definitely be a great bracket. Coach, thank you for being a part of this tonight and joining us on here down from the North Shore. And we're excited to get more knowledge of that North Shore softball down there. So thank you.
I appreciate y'all having me on, and really a huge thank you to Mike for covering all these athletic programs in the St. Tammany Parish. It means a lot to me, and I'm sure all the other coaches. We've never really had anything like this, and it's just awesome of you to do it.
Thank you, Coach.
Well, there you have it. Coach Rodriguez, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Guys, that's one thing that I'm finding, and that's the reason that we're launching the Pelican Sports Report and working with you, Mike Coppage, and you, Mike McMillan, on what's going on. And it's a travesty that softball's not getting the coverage in all parts of the state. Surely it is in the teams. And I take no disrespect to Calvary, because I love that program and what they're doing, and they're going to get that national exposure. But there are teams all around this great state that play some dadgum good softball.
Yeah, Mike is doing a tremendous job. Like Coach just complimented him on. Great, he does a fantastic job with the graphics and the stats. I go to there to get some of my Player of the Week nominations, and yeah, you're right. So there is a very enthusiastic fan base out there in softball, and they engage with the content. Softball content for me is more popular than anything other than football.
Yep, football is king, but softball is certainly one of those things. And like I said to everybody, we're launching a brand new website coming up in the summer. but we've called this the Dash for Frasch as everybody is heading for Frasch Park. And we're going to have coverage from the night the brackets went out, which is today, until that final out is made on May the 3rd. And these guys that you see here are going to be a part of it. So thank you for that. Let's move along and stay down there, and we'll back up to Mandeville, and we'll be joined by Coach Jason Helmsetter. Coach, welcome aboard. Sorry that we had to wait just a little bit, but we got you in here. But thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate y'all doing all the coverage that y'all are doing for the girls.
Oh, look, it's something that we're excited about, and we're delighted that and look, that's right. We've got a comment on here. It said that football is king, but Nadia Melder says, well, softball is queen, and she is 100% correct on that. And look, we're so excited. The softball in this area, in this state, is solid, and I admittedly, the North Shore was an area that I've not followed until Mike brought some wisdom to it. But you ladies are solid.
Yeah, so we're working really hard. This group of seniors, which we only have 2 seniors, but this group of seniors has been through 3 head coaches in 4 years. So we just tried to create some stability early on and just kind of let them go out and do what they've been doing and just try to keep them positive and, stay everything behind them and just tell them go out and compete every day.
North Shore Mike.
Yeah, Coach. Thanks again for joining us. I've got 2 questions here, so I'll ask them both, and then you can answer that way. But you've got a first round matchup at Destrehan. You lose at Destrehan earlier this year, which feels like last year at this point in February. You lose 14-13 at Destrehan. Coach Perrier, I think he's in his 3rd year there. They do a really good job. Talk a little bit about that and how that matchup is. Has it been so long since you've faced them that it's become kind of irrelevant?
Yeah, I think so, Mike. I think it's a whole different season. From the beginning to end. As I said earlier, that was game 1. Now we're on game 28. So I think our team is a different team from 28 games ago, and obviously the Destrehan team is going to be a different team from 28 games ago. The one thing that we are excited about is we get the opportunity to go back there on a night that we actually played the last inning in the dark. It was very tough. It was a tough game to lose. Somebody had to lose it. Unfortunately, it was us. We did a good job after falling behind 6-0 and coming back and taking a lead. So our girls are confident. We've been practicing hard about it and getting after it just to know that it's a whole different season with a different team now. So going out and give us a chance to win.
No, excellent. The second question I had for you was kind of a little bit about your roster and your lineup. You alluded a little bit to the seniors you have and kind of letting them play, but you've made some changes here in the last few weeks that have seemed to kind of spark it a little bit. I noticed Bernyard moving up in the lineup and really getting on base a lot early on. And then you've gotten a lot of consistency out of that kind of, 2 through 6 hitting and every night it's somebody else that's having a big night for you.
Yeah, so Bernyard was hitting down in the order for us 5 and 6 early in the season. She was basically leading the team in on-base percentage, slugging percentage. Seems like every time she was up, she was getting on base. So moved her up to the 2-hole and then eventually got her in the leadoff spot where she's been, extremely productive. And it's kind of like as she goes, we go. And basically the rest of the order is kind of picked up after her. I truly believe that hitting is contagious, and if she can get us started, then the ones behind her really get started again as well. So some young, inexperienced players come up. We have a freshman batting in a foul hole right now who's just been extremely productive, great at bat. So that's kind of helped get the lineup at length, as we want to. But it all starts at the top.
Well, thank you, Coach. Let's move over to Mr. Clean and see what he's got.
Coach, I see Mia's name mentioned a lot when Mike puts the graphics and the highlights for each week together from the Northshore Prep Report. What can you tell about her and any other of the players that we should watch out for?
So Gravenstein has been a tremendous player for us offensively. She's had one of the best that I could ever see from a player. She actually, at the end of the regular season, and I don't know how long this has ever happened, she's had 0 strikeouts for the entire season. So she puts a lot of pressure on defenses, and when we need a big hit, she seems to come through. So she's been a productive player for us in the 4-hole, and anytime we need something and she's up there, we got a lot of confidence that she's going to do a job for us.
Coach, were you just estimating? Did you say 0 with a Z?
Zero strikeouts on the entire regular season.
That's just amazing on there.
And she hits for power. She doesn't go up there and just slap balls around a little bit, you know?
That's
correct.
Just,
she is a doubles hitter for sure.
Wow, power hitter that doesn't strike out. Coach, certainly looking forward to a big night of it without a doubt. We appreciate you joining us. Sorry that we had to move it around a little bit, but we're delighted that you joined us, and looking forward to bracket to final out coverage. Our friends at Melder Trailer Sales are the driving force behind what we're able to do, Coach. But thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank y'all for having me. Again, thank y'all for the coverage, especially on.
There you go. Looked like we lost him a little bit out in that Mandeville air, but there he is, Coach. Thank you. We appreciate it. All right. So coming up, we've got a couple more coaches that we're going to talk to, and then we're going to have our wrap up in here as well. You know, one of the comments that I was thinking about while it was there was that we talked about football being king, and she said softball is queen. Softball is kind of like the prime minister. She don't need anybody. The queen's got the king, but softball stands on its own. And I'll sit here and say that until anybody wants to argue about it.
Well, softball is more fun to cover than football, in my opinion. The games go quicker. I mean, in football, you could have the storyline could change several times during the course of a game, and there's a lot more to keep up with. And then in softball, it's great that they have Game Changer there to help with the stats, because I'm a stats nerd. But if softball, it's fast paced, and it's a lot of fun to watch and cover.
Look, anybody that has ever set up and live streamed a baseball doubleheader versus live streaming a softball doubleheader can tell you that is dead on. That's correct. Down at the North Shore, Mike, you guys are very spirited on there too. We've used that word several times throughout, but and I hate, so the way that it's set up, it's kind of the Louisiana's there and everything, but man, if you're not looking for it, if you're not down there, you don't see it. But there's some heavyweights down there.
Yeah, there are. You know, we talk a lot about the North Shore and the amount of talent that's here. You know, we recently put out our baseball commitment list as well as our softball commitment list, and you know, the idea of North Shore Prep, we were going to initially cover about 6 or 7 teams here on the North Shore, and that's grown to, you know, between baseball and softball, you know, we're at like 25, 26 teams, and I'm getting hit from, you know, Jules Sumner and Doyle and you name it on commitments. So it's really good to see, you know, the amount of talent that really kind of goes unnoticed. You know, I'm, you know, born and raised on the South Shore and you know, went to Esther in high school, and obviously the Catholic League's very popular, and you know, River Parish has always been, you know, kind of a king of the area, but the North Shore has been great to follow. You know, I've been up here for 20 years now, and it's a unique space. Everybody takes care of each other, and the sports follows the exact same way. So it's been a pleasure to follow.
Well, we're rolling right along. Got another great one from the Ponchatoula Lady Wave. It is head coach Jeremy Harper. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk about Lady Wave softball tonight.
Well, tell us a little bit about it. How's things going? We know how it's going, but from the head coach perspective.
Man, I tell you what, it's been a season that we really, to be honest, we're not expecting. We had a great run last year. We had a chance to play for a state championship, come up a game short of that against a really good Santa Mont team. And so, you expect to have to rebuild a little bit, replace those 7 seniors who are, I thought they would be irreplaceable. And our girls have risen to the challenge time and time again all season. We've really we've overestimated almost how well we thought we were going to do, and here we are sitting at 8 with a bye in the first round in this new select side that we have to play in. And all credit goes to these girls that make up Lady Wave softball.
Well, let's jump down real quick to Mike from Acadiana on there, Mr. Cleaning. Your thoughts? You mentioned Ponchatoula earlier as one of those outside shots at going there, one of the lower seeds that were able to make a run.
Well, I believe Northshore Mike said that's his team, to win Division I select. And
all you Mikes confuse me. Yes, that's right.
That was my surprise team there.
Well, Coach, we know about Abby and Miss Wheat. What can you tell us about them and anybody else that is a standout?
We are very, very blessed to have 3 senior leaders, both on the field and in our locker room. Our culture is strong because of these 3 girls, from Alexis Gangora to Olivia Hutchinson to Sierra Best. I was telling somebody tonight that Sierra Best plays center field for us, but if the ball's hit deep enough, she also plays right field and she also plays left field because she will try and cover everything. We've got a sophomore out in right field in Peyton Lancaster. We've got a junior over in left field in Raelle Wheat. Our offense has the ability to create some damage here and there. Our goal since day one has been to create pressure. We told our girls that we are either going to try to lead the state in stolen bases or lead the state in caught stealing, one of the two. And so, we have tried very hard against a pretty tough schedule. We were looking tonight, we have 11 losses, and 7 of those losses are from teams in the top 5 of their division. And we did that on purpose. We want to challenge our girls. We tell our girls all the time that we have a reason for everything we do. And our defense has risen to the occasion. Our offense has risen to the occasion, led by girls like Abby DeGrow, led by girls like Raelle Wheat. They just give you a chance. And, top to bottom, 1 to 9, our girls, no matter how we draw the lineup up, and we have drawn the lineup up about as many ways as you can. And every time our girls respond, from leading off with a freshman and our second baseman, Faye Boehm, to putting the middle of the order up with Abby DeGrow and Lily Verga and Olivia Hutchinson, and then to see those girls also turn around and do it on defense. It's been fun to watch for us. Frustrating at times because, you're a high school coach and your expectations are so high for your girls. But these girls continue to rise to the challenge, and now we have a chance to prepare for a second round game, and that's because of these girls' hard work.
Well, North Shore Mike, what is it about the 8th seed in Division I that says, they got a shot?
Well, I'll tell you exactly what that is. Coach Harper and his enthusiasm for not just softball, but his program and his players is second to none. I'll give him props here. Ponchatoula is the capital of strawberries, right? And everybody knows that. But you will not find better grass in the state of Louisiana than on his baseball field. He has to be a maniac, and I wouldn't want to play for him because I can't imagine how much work goes into that field. But they have a phenomenal new facility that's new to them, and they do a great job there. Coach, one thing that I wanted to ask you, early in the year, you come off a state runner-up, you lose 5 seniors, right? That you lost
7 seniors.
7 seniors, 5 commits, maybe is what it was. So you lose a bunch of people, and you're crazy enough that you schedule the gauntlet early in the season. As of March 8th, you had lost 7 out of your last 8 games. And since then, you have gone on a run. Do you attribute a little bit of that early, road that you did to kind of, I guess, teach these girls a little bit about adversity and how they've overcome that?
We, like I said a minute ago, we strive to do everything we can to make sure that our girls understand everything. There's a reason for everything that we do. And, we do that long drive to that North Louisiana, the Polar Bear Classic. We do that on a school bus to that area up in really what is around kind of like the softball capital up there. And we took on teams like Calvary and West Monroe and West Washita to give our girls a chance to experience some adversity. We want our girls to understand that it's okay to struggle a little bit. And if you don't, then when you get into games like you have in the Road to Sulphur, you're not ready. And so we schedule hard on purpose because we want our girls to know, hey, this is not going to be an easy road, because we did Polar Bear Classic, and then the very next weekend we went over to Acadiana and did the big South Louisiana shootout over there. And were we successful on the scoreboard? Absolutely not. Were we successful in getting our girls ready for what's to come in this? I told our girls today, I said, the measuring stick is over. I said, no, we're not measuring up. We're not preparing. The playoffs are here. And so that run of losses did way better for us getting us ready than any win you'll see on our schedule.
Well, Coach, tremendous attitude, and we love seeing that. Looking forward to it. You're face the winner of Archbishop Chappelle and Scotlandville on there with a potential matchup against a pretty good one. And from what it seems, it doesn't look like your ladies back up from that one bit. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to talking to you again really soon.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much. Roll Wave.
There you go. Look, that's the first one tonight that is thrown in.
We got a slogan.
I love that just for that, Coach. Thank you.
My pleasure. That's culture, guys. That's how you do it right there.
There you have it. Look, we had a question come in from, let me get back to the comments on here, and said, what did we think, the thoughts on Grace Christian ladies repeating? Grace Christian won the state championship last year in Division 5. B and C have split out. They're sitting in B, and we cover them locally. They just had a big 1-0 win over Anacoco. I don't know how much you guys follow them at all, but Riley Guillo in the circle is really strong. They've got some solid players. I like the fact that they're in that top half of the bracket. I think they match up well with Quitman, and then that puts you into a championship game again. And who knows? Do either of you follow Grace Christian much here locally?
I will defer to your expertise on a Sinlaw team, but I looked at the bracket and number 4 Grace Christian defending champion at possibly number 1 Quitman defending champion, matchup of defending champions. I will say Quitman has really they really beefed up their schedule this year, and I see Anacoco at a number 7 seed. Could face Zwali in a rematch. There's a couple of more teams not too far removed from Sinlaw. But I'll defer to you on a prediction for that. I know Quitman's tough with their pitcher.
Definitely will be. I really think that it's going to be another one of those matchups, and Coach Mark Rozier has those ladies believing. I think they get to the title game again. I don't know that I predict the win over Stanley or not, but I do think that it's going to be another battle, and we look forward to that one as well. So I don't know if that answered your question, but I will tell you that that Grace Christian is poised for another deep run, without a doubt. We have made it all the way down to we're getting near the end of it here, not the end of it. And Mike from Northshore told us that we wanted to stick around and listen to Coach Nettie when she came on. So we're excited about doing that. Let's visit with Northshore's very own Coach Chelsea Nettie. Coach, welcome.
Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it.
Look, we've just heard a lot about the program and all that. You tell us, we want to hear your side of it.
Well, our motto all year has just been kind of keep battling. No matter what happens, They've battled through a lot of adversity this season. We've had quite a bit of injuries this season, actually. During the middle of our season, we kind of hit a rough patch with both of our ace pitchers being hurt, actually. And then we've had to rely on some freshmen this season, and they've really stepped up. And, they've risen to the occasion every time that I've asked, the team has asked. And, the motto has just been keep battling and pass the bat. And they do exactly that. I think we're exactly where we need to be. I truly believe in that. Like I said, a rocky patch in the middle, but I feel like we're right where we need to be for our team. They're a group that they love to compete. They love a challenge. They like to make it interesting at times, I feel like. But they just like to battle. We've had a lot of very gritty, close wins on our schedule, but I think they rather it that way. I think they enjoy that, actually.
Well, you love to see that. North Shore Mike, what's your take on the Lady Panthers?
Coach, thanks again for joining us. You guys have been a pleasure to follow. We picked up softball kind of in the middle of the season here. And you guys were struggling at the time, right? You had a few losses in a row, and it was kind of what's going to happen, what's going to go. Y'all have been in the shadow there of a phenomenal baseball season. Coach Hodges and those guys are having a great season over there. And then you finish really strong. You finish at home in district play with a really good game, a really well played close game over Slidell. And then when your last two with Covington and Jewel Sumner, which are really good teams and really talented, right? So talk a little bit about your matchup here. Most teams' goals to get to Sulphur, and you get to go in round one. So talk a little bit about that and how that's going to go.
I'm super excited. The girls are really excited. Like I said a minute ago, they've battled through so much adversity, and that string of losses in the middle, I think that taught them more than any win that we have seen this season. Because I think that prepared them and taught them how to battle and, how to get through it when things aren't going our way. I think it taught them how to play as a team, honestly. And yeah, it sucks 5 in a row. We weren't playing too good at the time, but we have a lot of young kids on the field. We have like 4 freshmen on the field at one time, most times, and they're hungry and they want to step up. And I think we've had such a growth mindset throughout the whole season. And I think those tough losses, the tough schedule has prepared us for, what we're about to see when we do go to Sulphur on Friday. I know they've been super amped up, yesterday, today. They were just ready to practice today to get after it. They were like, what do we know about our opponent? They're asking me and they're picking my brain. And I think that we're in a good spot. We have to continue to do the things that we've been doing so well the last 2 weeks. Our defense has improved so much. We're just making the routine plays and communicating, and we're just doing things so much better than we were a month ago. And that's all that I've asked them to do is just get better, learn every play. They make mistakes because we have a young group, but I'm okay with that because I asked them, well, what did you learn from this? What have you learned from that? And I think that we've had such a growth mindset, and I think that it's really paid off. And I'm really excited to, go to Sulphur on Friday, and then hopefully we can be back in a week or two.
Mr. Clean, what do you think?
Coach, like Mike said, you're coming in off a pair of shutouts against good teams in Covington and Jewel Sumner. Then you only allowed, I think, 3 runs in the other 2 recent wins combined that you had before the French Settlement game. Are your pitchers healthy now, or is one of them healthy? Can you tell us about that? What do you see as the key against a Sulphur team that's been on fire?
So I have one senior who pitches. She kind of carried the majority of the load for us in the beginning of the season, Anna Dahl. And then she started battling some shoulder issues. And then my other ace who's a sophomore, was kind of battling some hip injury. So they've been out at the same time. So we've kind of had to pass the ball to one of our freshmen, Abby Allen, and she has really, really stepped up, honestly. As a freshman, she doesn't let the crowd get to her, the noise. No, she just goes out there and makes her pitches and relies on her defense and has done everything we've asked her to do and more. I have one pitcher coming back that should be okay, my senior. So I'm gonna rely on a senior and a freshman to kind of handle it together and hopefully see if we can continue what we've been doing the last 2 weeks.
Well, Coach, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you taking a little bit of time out to visit with us, and we look forward to speaking with you a little bit more. But good luck as you make that trip to Sulphur, and like we said, hopefully back there in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely. Thank you.
There you have it. Can't believe, guys, when we started talking about this before and we had our guests planned out, so this is going to be a 2-hour show, and did we have enough material to fill it? I'm gonna tell you what, it seems like I could go for 2 more hours on here. We're not, don't get me wrong, we're not doing any of that, but we've been able to talk to a lot of folks from all around the state, and our cleanup hitter, our finale is there. And look, you've heard cliches throughout baseball and softball, and they're only cliches because they're a reason, North Shore Mike, but you said we were saving the best for last. So introduce our final guest.
So we are blessed to have what I would consider the legend of softball in our area. Coach Lambert's been around here a long time. She's been at Hannon for a really long time. If you know anything about softball in this area, you talk to anybody, everybody knows who she is. Coming off a state title a couple of years ago, I got to watch you coach the first time this year. I was at a game, and it's an interesting story. You guys are tied up. It's late in the game. There's a runner on first, and the ball's hit to right, and your girl comes around second and does not pick you up immediately. And she got about 3 feet off the bag, and they were going to throw behind her. I saw lasers from you, and everybody I talk to talks about the attention to detail that you have. And it speaks a little bit about to the team that you have. You obviously have some really talented teams, but you win a lot of really close games, and that has a lot to do with the attention to detail. Can you talk a little bit about that and what that means to you and how you create that culture in your program?
Well, it's funny you say that. First of all, thanks for having me on. And I don't know if I'm the best, but we just work hard. It's funny you say attention to detail, because for this team that I have this year, they're young. We only have one senior, no juniors on this team. But and that's been a thing that I have talked about a lot, is attention to detail. And it's just those little things that matter that sometimes that they don't pick up on, and we really work on. And sometimes they get frustrated, like, why does this matter? Why are you so aggravated about that? But somewhere that can be the thing that could hurt you, not getting a good jump, making that turn at the wrong time, or just those little bitty things matter. And so we've been really trying to put that in their head, and hopefully, we hopefully have 4 games left, and it can pay off. If not, it's going to pay off for us, hopefully, next season.
Mr. Clean, down in Lafayette area, what do you have?
Hi, Coach. I see Cody Ricks' name mentioned frequently. I know you graduated Cheyenne Jenkins off last year's team. Who are some players that we should watch for on the Hawks roster?
Well, Cody Ricks, she's a sophomore. She's our shortstop, and she does a tremendous job for us. She's our 2-hole hitter. She is a player that you would like to have, 10 of them, because she's competitive. She hates to lose. She wants to win. She's going to fight. So we love Cody. Sometimes you have to calm her down a little bit, because that intensity, that will that she has to win gets a little bit. You just got to bring her back down to earth a little bit. But so she's definitely one of them. We have another sophomore out in right field, Chloe Renton. Chloe Renton hits the ball well. She's been hot lately at the plate. Not only does she hit the ball well, she hits the ball hard. She's been hitting cleanup for us, and she does a good job. We have kind of behind her a freshman, Aaliyah Taylor. She hits the ball well too. She's new to our program this year. She fits really well with us. we're real happy to have her. We've kind of bounced her on the infield, between second, third a little bit, trying to get her a little bit more comfortable. She's coming off 2 ACL surgeries in the last probably year and a half. So, and she also pitches a little bit. So hopefully we're going to get her in the mound a little bit next year for the varsity team. Josie Pathenthong, she's a big time volleyball player. You may have heard her name in the volleyball circuit, but she holds down center field for us, and she's also a very, very good hitter. And our leadoff kid, Kate Conscien, she's a freshman that we turned her into a slapper this year, and she has done a tremendous job for us. So we're pretty good, really. They all have the potential to do well and hit well. Our problem this year has been we can't seem to get the timely hit when we need it. And we may have 3 or 4 kids hitting this game, and next game it may be 6 kids. So we just have been inconsistent. I call us a young and inconsistent team this year, and we're trying to get more consistency. So hopefully we can put some things together, like I said, in these next few games. But everything we've done this year, like I said, it's going to pay off. We have 1 senior, no juniors. So we'll have all this crew back next year, plus the kids that were ineligible this year, and then plus who's coming in next year. So the future's bright.
Coach, one thing that's on you right now, you play in one of the toughest brackets. And as we look, and we've talked about all of the brackets on here tonight, but this Division II, you got Vanderbilt Catholic sitting up at number 1. Edie White is in there. Buckeye is in there. Some have even suggested LaRanger has a shot at it. I don't want to get into who did that, but what tell me about a little bit about that bracket and what it's going to take to get through it and win this thing.
Well, yeah, it's a tough division. There's some really good teams in there, and there's some teams, down. Say, you look at that team in the 7, Patrick Taylor. Patrick Taylor has a real good pitcher. She's a very dominant pitcher, so you can't sleep on them. Yes, Vanderbilt Catholic, defending state champion. They have an excellent pitcher. They have an excellent catcher and some kids around that can hit and play. To me, they're the team to beat. I think the hottest team right now, it looks like in our division lately in the last week and a half, 2 weeks, has been Edie White. So Buckeye, I know a little bit about Buckeye. I know they've had a great program in the past. They won a couple championships in a row, and I know they lost their pitcher. They were rebuilding a little bit, but it seems like they've gotten something together going this year. Yeah, it's tough. And, I think we got a tough road. We got to play St. Charles. St. Charles has always been, over the years, a tough team for us to play. They've always fought hard. It's always been really good games between us. So that quarterfinal round should be a real good one. If we get by the first one, because I tell our team we're taking one game at a time, just because we've been so inconsistent. We can't look past anyone, and we're not going to. But, yeah, it's a tough division. As far as LaRanger, LaRanger's got a bunch of seniors. And they're very confident right now, and with that, anything can happen. It's about being confident at this time, and who's feeling good, who's feeling hot, and getting some momentum. So,
Mike, down in the North Shore, finish us off here with Coach Lambert, the legend, my friend. And look, everything he said was spot on in the few minutes that we've spent with you. He said that your knowledge of the game and your passion for it is unequaled. And my friend, it certainly is. Great having you there. But North Shore, Mike?
Coach, thanks again for coming on and spending some time. We've had the pleasure of having a bunch of coaches on tonight. It's been enlightening to hear this and hear from you guys. To finish off, one of the questions I had for you was, you've got Ava in the circle. It's been a little bit like your lineup, right? Where it's just been inconsistent, kind of, don't know what you're going to get night in and night out. She's had some really dominant performances. Then she's had other nights where she seemed a little off. Talk about her and her growth and her development. I think she's a sophomore now, right?
She's a sophomore too. We're very sophomore heavy.
Yeah.
We probably have, I think, 8 sophomores and 2 freshmen on the field. 8 sophomores in the whole program right now, and then 2 freshmen are starting. But Ava, she's been inconsistent too, and I'm not saying anything that she wouldn't tell you. And I think she's frustrated at times, and I know we're frustrated at times because we know the potential she has. But she's been working through it. She's been great. She's a big part of what we do. She's a big part of our success. Without her, we obviously wouldn't be where we are. But I think it's just her. We're working on all of them with this, and that's being a little bit mentally tougher. When something goes wrong or there's an error, there's a mistake, we tend to lose focus on what we're trying to accomplish. So getting them to stay focused, and Ava has that. So sometimes there'll be an error made and then we'll lose focus on the next batter, maybe the next two batters. So I think it's just being youthful and it's growing and she's learning. And look, I wouldn't trade her for the world. I think she's going to have a tremendous high school season or career. And she's not finished this year. I've seen a lot of good things the last, few games. The last game we played, she had a rough at first that inning, but she came back and had a very good 6 inning. The rest of the innings were very, very good. So, yeah, I think she's a competitor too. She wants to do well. She wants to compete, and all our players do. So,
it sounds like you've explained a young team to a T.
Yes, we are. We're just not sure what we're going to get sometimes, but it's been fun. It's been exciting. It's been a roller coaster.
Look, it's going to be a great to keep an eye on this year, these last 2 or 3 weeks, and then the next couple of years as well. So, head coach of Hammond, the Lady Hawks, and Becky Lambert, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We certainly appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you guys and all that you do and all the coverage that you're giving, not only our team, but all the teams, all the softball teams. It's something it's appreciated by fans, coaches, players. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. We'll see you. Hope to see you down in Sulphur.
Yes. Hope so. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, Coach.
Guys, that's we've made it through our gauntlet of coaches. And has anything changed in your thought processes, Clean, about what you maybe your lock is or what you're thinking?
No, but I want to mention Northshore Mike was speaking my language when he mentioned the Dole Tigers, because I'm fascinated by not only the Division I non-select bracket, which is loaded from top to bottom, as teams like Central in the middle that have won a ton of games, but Division III non-select in the top 8. It's just rugged. Your French Settlement moved up from Division 4 to Division 3.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Dole and Sterlington can meet in the quarterfinals, and that's a finals type matchup. Both teams went deep into playoffs and hoops, and
Sterlington's as hot as anybody right now.
Yeah. I love that division. You got Kinder, you got Pine Prairie, Kaplan at number 1, who I just saw the other night. Man, that to me, that Division III non-select is just I can't quit looking at the matchups, and Dole versus Sterlington. If that one goes down in the quarterfinals, man, somebody great is going to get eliminated. You have Gina as well, which I saw Gina win at Kaplan in the quarterfinals in 2 recent years. So I just wanted to plug that Division III non-select a little bit.
Look, how about Cooper, the way she's throwing it? I want to spend these last few minutes talking about some of the players that have stood out to us as well. But that young lady, just a junior, and what is she averaging? About a little over 2 strikeouts an inning?
Yeah, and Gina has knocked Kaplan out of the playoffs a couple of times recently, and then she'll be back again next season as well.
Look, Calvary, that was your pick to do it. They're loaded. Lauren Sibbles, who does such a great job. She was your player of the week this past week. Baylor Bachhaus is down there, and Kenzie Anderson. They're loaded for another run at it. But some of the players maybe around the state that you say, okay, we got to watch out for this one, and this one.
St. Thomas More, I was a little worried. They're a local team, so they're a team I maybe know a little bit more about than teams that are not in my area. But there's a team I was kind of worried about when they dropped some recent games. But man, they bounced back with I believe they run ruled Live Oak, and they have a ton of players to watch. Emma Bailey, Ava Segura, Margaret Auger, Kennedy Stutes, Cheyenne Irvin. So I mean that's just one team to mention, but it's going to be a fantastic postseason. There's a lot of games that the parity may not be that widespread amongst the other sports, but there's a lot of parity in the softball.
North Shore Mike, your thoughts as you've talked to some folks around the state now as well. Your North Shore ladies that are out there too. Give me a couple of standout players to watch as we get ready for the dash for Frasch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna switch it up a little bit because there are some kids in our area that are going to some big schools and have had great years that didn't make the playoffs. And it's unfortunate for those girls. I have to talk about Bailey Mackles at Slidell in the circle. She's heading to UL Lafayette. In the playoffs, Mickey Watts at La Ranger is phenomenal. She's another UL commit. Really, really talented player. I'm really looking forward to following Calvary Baptist now after talking to them. I followed Calvary Baptist a good bit on the football side and the baseball side. And it's no coincidence that they're doing the same thing in softball. I mean, that community and what they do and how they do things is second to none. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to rely on Mike a little bit on around the state. I'm glad that we can provide some coverage of this area for Mike because he is an absolute encyclopedia of players and information.
Look, I'll tell you, before we keep an eye out on the work that Madeline Hall does. She's a big power hitter from Pineville, plays first base for them. She's phenomenal. Birch in the circle just seemed to be the answer for it. And we skipped around a lot. Just, I mean, timing is what it is. But that Pineville Lady Rebels team is loaded. Coach Allison Fry is solid. There's just so many big players around this area that it's hard to get into this. Guys, we need to do this next week. Just visit with ourselves and look back at things, talk about some upsets. But Mike, some players that maybe up north or in central Louisiana that we're not mentioning. And I hate to mention all the ones here in central Louisiana because I don't want to be a homer, so I'll let somebody else do that. But there's a lot of talent right here.
Yeah, and my mind can easily go blank when I'm on the spot. But here's a player to watch out for: Dixie Williams at Halton, number 17 seed. They got to play Natchitoches Central, number 16. Two great teams there. I mean, and the winner goes to Sam Houston, which that's a team that has a legitimate claim, to the overall number one spot that Calvary has. That they've been beating everybody down left and right.
Look, here's something we need to. This is what I want to see happen, and you guys tell me what the opportunity. And there may be no opportunity for it at all. But you've got 4 divisions in select, right? You got 4 divisions in non-select, and then you got B and C. That all goes down on the 2nd and 3rd. How about we come around again on the 9th and 10th and have a tournament of champions and let all 10 of them do battle in a little double elimination? Wouldn't that be a lot of fun? Might never happen.
Well, one thing that I really have enjoyed is the way that the top teams play each other amongst all the different divisions. Yeah. Quitman taking on all comers from around the state, and there's just been a ton of great action this last week or so especially after the districts wrapped up with teams facing off against each other. So I mean, after Calvary Baptist and Sam Houston, there's a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams that could challenge it. There are a lot of potentially elite teams in the state.
But in football, you're not going to see a Division I, and you're not going to see a 5A team and a 2A team doing battle. Out on the diamond, everything is pretty much equal.
Yeah, I like that softball has that same kind of feel as girls basketball to me with Fairview and Anacoco and girls basketball, Oak Hill, those small schools, they can play with anybody in any class, and softball is the same way. The one if people get the chance to see Calvary Baptist, it's really impressive the way their 2 pitchers, Kinsey Anderson and Addison Willis, they have a repertoire of pitches. They don't just overpower you; they can baffle you with their changeup, drop ball. If you want to see a team that has it all, check out the Calvary Baptist Cavaliers.
Look, you think it was fun talking to Coach Tiff? You spend 15, 20 minutes with her dad, Greg Frazier, who's her assistant coach on there. He knows more about softball than the people that invented softball, I believe. So
I believe you.
Tell us real quick, North Shore Mike, where can folks find what you do?
Yes, you can find us on Facebook at Northshore Prep Report. You can find us on Twitter at Northshore Prep R. Website will be coming soon at NorthshorePrepReport.com. And obviously we look forward to continuing the work that you do and supporting you and Mike. It's been a great opportunity, so we appreciate it.
Absolutely. And well done in 61 days, my friend. There's no doubt about that. Mike Coppage, all the way down, covering all things Louisiana, but has a handle on the Acadiana area like nobody's business. Tell us about where folks can find you.
My name's Mike Coppage. My alias some places is Mr. Clean or just Clean, but you can check me out. I'm on X, formerly known as Twitter, on Facebook. Post different stuff on both. You can come check me out. I have a lot of free articles on high school SI. So give me a look sometime at your convenience.
Well, absolutely. And Mike, well, that just sounds so familiar. Mike and Mike, thank you for everything that you guys do. And I appreciate you being along with what we're doing here. We're going to make certain that not one of these coaches has the opportunity to say, man, nobody's covering softball anymore. From this day on, we're going to do it. Look forward to our coverage of the Dash for Frasch. I'm going to keep saying it till it finally sticks and somebody else says it. But the Dash for Frasch, Frasch Park is where everybody wants to get to on May the 2nd and May the 3rd. Big shout out to our man, Chuck Perkins, who is behind the scenes doing the producing. And when we say switch, he'll move the stuff around and all of that. And he just does a great job back there. All of the questions that we got in, see, just like that, switch. All the questions that we got in, all the coaches that took part in it as well. Guys, stick around after we get out of here and we'll wrap this up. But for my man, Mike McMillan, who is down at the North Shore Prep Report, all of these reports get in my mind. Mike Coppage, who is everywhere out of that Acadiana area. Check out his articles. Free. Did I mention that? Free articles that are out there. Everybody wants to charge for stuff this day. This group doesn't charge. We don't do it. We just give you that information. And I am Doug Gann. You can find us at 446sports.com. We live stream about 350 games a year. We do shows in here, and it is just a pleasure to sit and visit with you. So for Mike, I am Doug Gann. God bless you all and good night.